We've got one last match for the day. It is CLG taking on FlyQuest in a must-win first meeting. But looking at their roster, considering that we do have a CLG expert on our panel here today, Primal, who do you think CLG can rely on to try and pull out the W?
You know, you might be thinking it's one of the veterans, maybe a pole belter or a wild turtle, but I actually think it's Finn. This guy's been a breakout star for this team, even when they were a dumpster fire in the beginning of the split. And now that they're more stable, I think he's gonna be allowed to excel. This guy's extremely good on picks like Aatrox, creating a ton of side lane pressure and creating opportunities for himself. And now that he has the support of Broxa, you know, coming top lane, has now the off season to sort of gel with him, I think we're gonna see this guy really shine. So super excited for Finn, and I think CLG is gonna do really well this split.
You mentioned some of the veterans. I'm still picking one. I'm picking Turtle. I think he's actually been low-key incredible for this team. There have been a lot of 2v2 kills in the bot lane that him and Smoothie were able to do in the early game. Mid to late game, he's also been pretty decent. I think that the entire team has had team fighting issues, and AD carry is one of those roles where you kind of live and die based off how your front line's doing. And they've had their issues, especially with all the role swaps that you're talking about. But now that they've found that solid kind of core, I expect Turtle to turn into a pretty reliable carry for them. And ever since he kind of got that temporary benching on FlyQuest at the start of summer last split, he's been really good coming back into the lineups.
You guys name players, but I just think the fact that they're getting practice now should make them good, right?
Yeah,
they
counts.
were in visa jail before, weren't able to actually play as a team, got such limited scrim time that if they kept that same work ethic that they were trying to scramble and get those wins at the end of the split and have driven all the way that for the summer split, well, I think that CLG is going to be really good.
Yeah, I agree. The only reason they're not in first is because they're unlucky. Thank you, Chris.
Yeah, you got it.
Yeah, cool.
I'm convinced that the healthy debate over the right way to eat spaghetti is what is going to propel CLG into the front line, because apparently that dominates Finn and Brox's conversations. Got to learn more about that. But we have to recognize who they will be facing off here today, because FlyQuest definitely has their team under a microscope, and the jungler is right at the center.
Yeah. I've been always looking at Jose Diodo when this guy came into the split. He has been so good as a jungler, when right now so many junglers are dominating when it comes to the mechanics, hard carrying like the Rumble that we just saw from Xerxes. Jose Diodo is one of the best mechanically talented junglers that we have in the league. I mean, this guy is playing so many champions when you look at the in-houses, just the scrims, his solo queue, and that's exactly what you need to be able to shine in the picks that are currently meta. So I think that when FlyQuest can play around the jungle, like we've just seen some of the winning teams today, that's when they'll have their best look.
And I mean, one of the biggest things that when we're talking about what Jose Diodo brings to this team, though, we know that he has the mechanics, right? But it comes down to where's the leadership coming from? How has that developed with the squad? I mean, Licorice, for instance, at one point, top of his game in the top lane position, but now maybe trying to find his way within this team continually.
Yeah, and I remember that Licorice did an interview last split where he was talking about his role on this team as needing to be a leader, right? On Cloud9, he was kind of had a silver spoon, came in, just had to be a mechanical beast. Now he has to think on behalf of the leadership portion of the team and be the carry for the team. So I think now that he's had more time to grow into this role, hopefully we'll be able to see him bring back the performances we expect from one of our elite top laners.
And that's kind of when we're looking at all of the pairings across the board and how much that leadership has really come into play for a lot of these wins. I mean, we had the opportunity to hear from Stixay earlier and kind of the development from that through. But the thing that's different about this matchup, right, these two teams are coming into it, having that record carrying over from spring here, and that has a heavy impact on how they approach these games.
Yeah, it's unfortunate. You look back and you see that 5-13. That one sticks around from spring split. It's a new change for summer. And even though we're talking about CLG having all these improvements, they finished the second round robin 4-5 actually, but they started the first one 1-8, and that is a very hard climb for them. Luckily in summer, it's 8 teams making playoffs, so they do have the opportunity to still make it in. But it is one of these things where I think that they will be stronger than their standings their showing in the standings will be, because they have that kind of dead weight from spring, despite being a lot stronger than that.
That was a huge conversation, right? When you looked at this squad on paper for CLG, there was so much hype around it, but then there was a bit of a delay into getting them all together. Some of the price was paid there originally, but it felt like towards the end of the split, even though it was kind of too late for them to pick up some of the wins to really put an impressive record, they really started to get things together.
They really did, and that's why here against FlyQuest, having that same record, or at the very least really close, will truly matter, because we could be in an end game scenario where they're fighting for 8th or 9th place together, and only one will make it into playoffs. So getting that head-to-head right now is really going to matter between these two teams, because oftentimes, yes, we look at those late game, end of the summer season, and you're looking at a loss that you say, oh, we lost it. We lost the opportunity for playoffs there, but every single game matters, and starting here off the right foot against the opponents that you'll most likely be competing for playoff spots, that's where you really want to win.
It's all down to the wire, right? At every single point from this moment forward with everything on the line. But being that we have given a lot of recognition to Jose Deoda earlier and what he can bring from that mechanical perspective, there have also always been eyes on what Broxa kind of brings to the table in this scenario, right? I just want to get your thoughts on how these two are going to match up against one another.
Yeah, so I think they're very different types of junglers, right? Like when I think of Broxa, I think of someone who's more consistent. He's a stable jungler. You know, he's supporting his team. Whereas Jose Deoda is sort of like a carry from the jungle, potentially, depending on what kind of picks you put him on. So I think of this less as Broxa versus Jose Deoda, and I think it's more what Broxa can enable for his laners to do versus what maybe the laners can enable Jose Deoda to do. So it's going to be interesting to see, you know, with the benefit of a few weeks to really refine their strategy, how FlyQuest chooses to approach this.
Well, from that jungle position and beyond, it is time to find out who will be coming out on top as we toss it over to Captain Flowers and Raz.
Thank you very much, Analyst Desk. Welcome back, everybody. I'm still Captain Flowers. That is still Raz. And I tell you, one of my favorite things about being back here in the studio, man, besides seeing everybody's lovely faces, back when we were doing the work from home thing, I can't remember which direction I'm supposed to point when I say, and that's my buddy that I'm casting with. I always forget it. It doesn't matter now. Even I can get this right. Welcome back. We're ready to go. It is our final game of the day. FlyQuest, CLG. You just heard the analyst talking about it. Neither one of these teams ended spring exactly where they wanted to be. But hey, we said at the end of last game, the slate, despite the fact that it's not actually completely wiped clean, is much cleaner than it was before, and now is the time to come out swinging.
Absolutely. And they made, at least, I say they made changes. FlyQuest made changes. CLG just got their team.
So, they got all their guys here in time.
Yeah, they're here. I feel that whole, you know, sadness from being in Visa prison. I've been there.
Oh, yeah.
He's probably worse off because Broxa is watching his team definitely need him during their entire split. So Broxa, I loved what they said about him. I think he's very much a stable, conservative jungler that keeps him on the tracks, where I think CLG, they have great players. Finn, Pobelter, great mechanically. They've had moments throughout their split. So having somebody that knows where they need to be to support that, to facilitate that, is exactly what they need. And so a lot of people are high on CLG going into the summer split for good reason.
Yeah, I think the stat that Mark brought up was very, very important. When you look at their current record of 5-13, it looks really, really bad.
Yeah.
But when you consider the fact that the 1-8 half of that record was the first half of last split, and in the second half, they went 4-5, which, although it's not winning, it's as close as it can be to winning.
Hell yeah.
Like, that's a that's much more manageable. It's much more reasonable than 5-13. And so I'm expecting to see more of that CLG compared to the 1-8 CLG that just had so many problems. There weren't enough ways to plug all the leaky holes.
What you should always focus on if you're a growing team are the positive things you can build off of.
Yeah.
Because if you just look at the standings, I swear to God, they are if they are looking at the standings, you know, smack them.
Yeah. Don't look at that.
Yeah. Look at the most recent performances either in your own scrims or in the stage games to see what has been working for you, what you can continue doing and build off that team strategy. You know, we're seeing a lot of, in the spring split, Lucian there for Pobelter in the mid lane. Being a carry for his team and knowing that he could take that role, great. He's going to be facing off Palafox that was realizing that at the end of the split. So I think two teams very much in an upward trajectory, in my opinion, especially for FlyQuest. We'll talk about them later on. But I think CLG for sure on an upward trajectory. Smoothie is another play that I didn't get really an opportunity to talk about, where I thought he was a very solid, consistent support alongside Wild Turtle. So if you have a great early game, hopefully with the changes that you've had in terms of bringing in the jungler for a long time now, you can keep those leads. Like we saw in the previous game with IMT. IMT being able to have an early lead, play off their vision well, and secure it. I think CLG would have that meme in the last split. Get a lead, bad team fight, lose the game.
And I also like this matchup between these two teams because I feel like this is like two of the most wholesome teams in the whole LCS.
Yep.
Because you got FlyQuest, who are literally trying to save the planet with saving the turtles and saving the bees and saving all these critters. And then you go over on CLG, and you got some of the nicest guys that ever played the game in Wild Turtle. You got Broxa in here.
True.
Just some of those wholesome dudes you have ever seen play this game. But now, one of them's got to go.
I don't want to hear that. I don't want to hear that at all. It's a competition.
Yeah.
You might love everybody, but at the end of the day, they're all working hard towards the same goal. And so looking at Dreams, I think Dreams is someone we didn't get to talk about either. Coming in, remember, Schalke's support, who's actually had an insane split. That was the split in which they had that miracle run off of his great support performance working with Gilius. And then LEC fans didn't see him. I was like, where the hell did he go?
What happened?
What is this? This is the Avatar or what, guys? Where is he going? Was in the depths of FlyQuest. FlyQuest got a great deal in being able to pick him up. And I think we get to see, what he could provide for FlyQuest here, because what the desk echoed, not having a leader, right? Licorice mentioned that in previous interviews that he had. And so being able to see Licorice, I think, take a step forward. Dreams, who's been in that position, I'm sure would want to be a more vocal member of the team. All of those kind of hypotheticals, all these things coming together, I think are a solution here for FlyQuest. So we should be seeing a different team too.
And that leadership is so important, man, because when you think about the difference between pro play and between the sort of League of Legends that everybody out there in the audience in Twitch chat or whatever is used to playing, this isn't solo queue where half the people in the game are playing League of Legends and half of them are playing Microsoft Word, typing up their entire life story, telling
Flipping
you why
each
you
other
should
off.
uninstall the game. Yeah, there's none of that garbage. You got to have somebody that's got the plan. Everybody's not just playing for themselves. They're playing for the whole team. And if there's not one cohesive strategy for everybody to be working towards, it all falls apart and it looks like a mess.
That's why you got to have a vision, a team vision. What team are we? Are we a scrappy team like 100 Thieves, although it didn't work today? I mean, like, if you're a scrappy team fight team that you take inspiration from the LPL, great. If you're a team that's methodical, great. You just need to be on the same damn page, or we having problems.
All right, let's see how they do it here. We are into Champ Select, final game of the day. Let's see what the bands are looking like. You named the Lucian as one of the things that we were seeing Poe Belter get some work done on, but hey, not any of that work being done today, my friends. Lucian's banned away, Renekton the same. Hey, if you ban out one, ban out the other. The husband and wife combo is gone. Senna's taken off the table as Udyr will not be allowed into this game. Thank you, League of Legends gods. I am so tired of this champion. Hit him with the nerf bat again, please. Varus also banned out, and CLG, what is that last one gonna be here before we get into the picks?
Rumble is still available, so maybe they want to chip at the jungle a little bit more. But you can play into a Rumble a little bit more easily. Lee Sin is also a pick that you can go towards. Broxa and
she made it through! She made it through! She made it through!
Who let it happen?
Okay, we got the Gwyn here for Licorice. First pick for FlyQuest, last game of the day. We said we wanted to see it at least once here, and now we're going to get that Gwyn pick. Let's see how CLG wants to respond to it here. They chose to ban out the Thresh as their final ban of this draft instead of the Gwen, leaving that one open. Maybe they were thinking Licorice doesn't play it. If they don't first pick it, we'll grab it first rotation. Anyway, that doesn't work out. Instead, they're going to grab Kai'Sa, and I'm so glad, I so hope this is for Broxa. I love watching Broxa on the Lee Sin.
I really do too, and we talked about the jungle experience changes, or at least how catch-up experience is not a thing. So you don't need to be the brain-dead clear jungler anymore. you could get a little bit more creative, and so nice flex that we're seeing here from CLG. Viego being hovered.
Oh, it's about to be a family reunion, my friends. Here we go. We're getting everybody together.
This is a fun comp from FlyQuest, and if you're CLG, sweating a little bit. I mean, they must have planned for this. I want to see what strategy they have around, because at least against Gwen, having more bruisers, something that can deal with it in lane, even though you won't know what position she's going to be going into, mid, top lane, at least CLG have red side so they can lock in a top/mid flex pick. An idea that I was talking about was a Renekton, perhaps.
But that's gone.
That's gone, so that's not going to be on the table. I want to see where CLG heads.
And, I mean, hey, at least for Bruisers, too, they don't mind being inside that W zone with Gwen, preventing all that damage. They're okay having to dive in there and fight her in melee range. Now, let's see where CLG is going to take the rest of the draft here. Ezreal locked in for FlyQuest, Leona for CLG. So the Kai'Sa Leona, we have seen this combo plenty of times in the past. Kai'Sa loves allies that will facilitate her dive, apply plasma stacks for her, let her pop off with that damage. Leona fits the bill.
What I think CLG needs to start banning, it's a good karma ban, I guess, but I think start banning out the great CC lockdown supports, because right now FlyQuest is fiending for some form of engage.
Right, they've got none of that.
Exactly. A Nautilus or a Set, I think, would do a lot of good work here from CLG. Let's see where they end up heading, because support pool could get chipped out a little bit.
The Braum banned away instead. So not necessarily an engaged champion, a great disengaged champion.
Yeah.
But when you're looking at what's been locked in for FlyQuest so far, Ezreal cannot engage for any reason. Gwen should not be able to engage for any reason. When you look at Viego, yes, he has his stun punch. That's not a real good engage.
Yeah.
So I wonder how they're going to complete the rest of this, as CLG has opted to take the Gangplank into the Gwen top lane.
I like the GP. I need to see a little bit more of it in the lane, but as a concept in teamfight, it's going to be very difficult for FlyQuest, even if they did get an engage option that I was talking about, like a Set, to really dive into the back line. So the disengage from the Lee Sin kick, same with the ultimate there from GP, is very clear identity of how CLG wants to team fight.
Okay, the Set's locked in, so that one's 100% here.
Yep.
Now, what will our final pick of this draft be? We already know the flexibility of Viego. You already mentioned how this champion can be a triple flex. He can go solo lanes, he can go jungle, he can do whatever. We know that Set can also be flexed around to a couple of different roles, so Set might be our support option into the Leona down here. He also might be...
Could be a Gragas. It could be really... There are a lot of picks that you can go towards.
Silas! Okay, so there it is. The Set will be support. We will have Gwen in top, Silas in... mid, I'm assuming, Viego jungle?
Viego jungle could be it. So for me, the only thing is if it's going to be a Viego jungle or a Gwen jungle. But Viego does work. It's creative. Karthus being locked in here.
Okay.
CLG!
So it's Pobelter Lee Sin, Broxa on the Karthus, and they locked it in rather quickly. They didn't give me a chance to say this. I wanted to sound halfway smart for a second. I was going to say I want to see AP from CLG.
There we go.
Because everything so far, yes, Kai'Sa's a bit split, but Gangplank and Lee Sin both completely damage-based except for Gangplank's ulti. Well, I guess Lee's... never mind. See, I already sounded stupid because they blocked the point that I wanted to say earlier. Anyway, CLG's comp was incredibly heavily AD, but now they've got a bunch of AP threat there with the Karthus.
Yeah, and it kind of goes back with the theme that they have as a squad. Like, you know, long range engage or disengage there from the GP. Also, Wall of Pain is going to help in that.
Yeah.
There's just a lot of DPS, a lot of threats from CLG that FlyQuest have to deal with. So it's going to be interesting to see how FlyQuest does fight into them.
And if you're looking at what CLG's composition can do as well, especially post-6, Broxa and... so what Broxa can do, farm up fast, he'll hit level 6 at the same point the solo laners are hitting level 6, or around there at least, maybe a little bit slower. It's not like we're back in the Season 6 jungle, right? But then when you have a Karthus and a Gangplank, those two can help bottom just by pressing R. They can do a lot. And then Pobelter goes down there on the Lee Sin. You can set up a whole party down there for the enemy bot lane.
That's true. Finn and Broxa are going to be helping out. It's going to be a party in the bot lane, and they're doing it from long distance. So
it could be an absolute monstrous experience for the FlyQuest bot lane together. But these guys as well, I'm so excited to see the Gwen and Viego combo. Oh, and it's not just Gwen, Raz. It is Teleporting Knight Gwen. It is Chad Gwen here in the top lane.
Fight me. That's what he's trying to say.
Let's go. Teleporting Knight and FlyQuest is already off to a sneaky plan here in the bottom lane. 5-man brush play. If anybody face checks this, they will have an incredibly bad game of League of Legends.
All right, so we're not getting any, you know, ye old CLG run down mid and get an early first blood. Trying to see if they can catch Wild Turtle and Smoothie trying to sit in the bush, try and get first push. Not going to be happening here.
Nope. Does not look like it. Instead, everybody's just going to reset just fine. So let's take stock of what everything looks like. I already pointed out the teleport plus ignite there for the Gwen. Going with the Dorian shield as well, just because of the way that Gangplank's lane is wait for grasp, shoot you with the gun. It's consistent poke all the time. Over on the other side, we do have teleports on all 4 of our solo laners this game. It's a cleanse for the Ezreal. Generally, that's what you're going to see every time the enemy support is Leona. Heal on the Kai'Sa, though. Turtle doesn't feel like he needs a cleanse against something that doesn't have as much hard CC that's just so point and click.
Yeah, you got to be a little concerned there if you're Wild Turtle, because the concern is you're going up against a set support that's just going to flash at you early on and try and get as much DPS on. So you don't have a cleanse to kind of deal with that, especially since he wants to have Hex Splash anyways. Might catch you off guard. But early on, just to see where the junglers are pathing kind of opposite to each other. So Brox is going to be pathing up towards the top side. Going to be trying to see if anything happens. Might help out in a dive towards the Gwen. Meanwhile, Viego going to be pathing towards the bottom side of the map. A lot of gank help here, I would say, from Jose Diodo if he's going towards the bottom side of the map, that he's going to be able to help Dreams in a moment, or even the Palafox. So great 2v2 there that Broxa has to be concerned with.
Yeah, Broxa will have to be very mindful. Also, if Jose Diodo gets ahead, if Jose Diodo has good push in his lanes, Karthus' weakness is that he can be invaded pretty easily.
Yeah.
Sometimes you'll see Karthus in matchups against strong invading junglers take an exhaust instead of a flash even in situations like this. Because while he is incredibly good at PvE, early on he is so incredibly vulnerable in PvE.
Yeah, doesn't want them to get a whiff of where he's starting.
No.
The timer on his Raptors give him a good indicator of where he's going to be, so both Palafox and Jose Diodo can camp out in the bush waiting for him. But they both been having good clears here. Karthus, of course, the naturally faster clear, but this is going to be the gank angle that I was talking about.
There it is, your flash immediately into the CC coming out from set. Jose Diodo already here and ready to go. Flashing forward, gets the W, a little bit more damage will get it done, and it's first blood for Jose.
He delayed that channeling on his W. Great there from Jose Diodo. Flashed in first just to see if there was a flash coming out instantly. Smoothie takes the bait. So wonderful setup there. FlyQuest able to get the first blood.
And it happens exactly like you set it up, my friend. The power of the set. Flash into the face breaker. Here it is one more time.
All right, does it early. Knows that Viego is coming in due time. Even if Wild Turtle and Smoothie take the long trek over, it's just not going to be enough. This movement speed boost coming in from that E from Jose Diodo. And of course, follows through with that flash. Just really well executed there from him.
Super well done. Goes back to base, picks up the pickaxe there for himself. Going to speed that clear up nice and easy here. Now, of course, Broxa was able to keep his farm going during this time, but I'll take the first blood any day of the week.
Yeah, so Pobelter definitely needs his lane fixed, and that's a great opportunity for Dreams to come in. He gets spotted out by Broxa, though, so not going to pan out well.
Yep, Dreams will just be chilling here. Jose Diodo just farming up his Raptor camp as his support takes a little bit of damage. Has to walk away from this one. Pobelter moving in, finds a Sonic Wave, but there's your face breaker. Pobelter being forced to flash away. And CLG, they lose their mid laner's flash for not a whole lot.
Yeah, I don't know what they were trying to look for there. Level 4 from the Lee Sin. Really isn't going to be much of a chance to chase on top of the set. I can understand the poke, but all you needed to do, you called out the Dreams looking for a pick mid lane, push him out, help Lee Sin get the wave pushed back in. They do it now, but of course looking for a play at the cost of Pobelter's flash.
Okay, we got the teleport from Licorice back up into the top lane here. Finn already having the Sheen prepped and ready to go means that Q poke is more obnoxious than ever. Licorice doing a little bit of snip there, trying to shave some HP off of him, as Jose Diodo has moved into the enemy jungle, and this is what I was talking about. Yes, Karthus is great at killing Raptors. He can kill that camp in 3 or 4 seconds. But when Viego just shuts it down and leaves one of the baby ones up, you're delaying his clear, you're stopping the Karthus game plan, and slowing down that level 6, slowing down that power farm that makes him a threat in the mid lane.
You're also just baiting him to try and take a fight if he wants to contest for his own Raptors camp, because he's going to be a little sad here. But in the end, right, working with Palafox, who does have a flash up against his opponent mid laner, and Licorice, who's just been dominating or pushing in the top side very consistently in his lane. It's just a fight you don't want to take if you're Broxas, so he's going to be a camp down on this one, a little sad. But overall, you know, he's just going to be farming out Krugs and dealing with that. As long as CLG's bot lane is safe and farming out well, it's not going to be too harmful for Broxah.
And you've got a bunch of minions crashing into this wave right now that will allow Wild Turtle to close this CS gap some. But before that wave collided, it was a plus 20 there for the Ezreal, there for Johnson.
Yeah.
See the total gold here on the left side of your screen. There is only one player from CLG in the top 5, Raz. Now, despite the fact that they got that first blood, remember the first blood plus assist is worth 600 gold. This is a 1,000 gold lead, so FlyQuest are doing a nice job building up these tidy gold leads in the early game.
Absolutely. Even though we harped on the scaling element of CLG and how they want to play overall later team fights, FlyQuest just wants to fight you.
Yeah.
Dream setting up around mid earlier, and then you saw this set up around mid now. I think FlyQuest, when we asked them what their team identity is, this is a clear-cut answer, and so I wonder if they can find and open up a larger advantage to challenge CLG when dragons start getting stacked up.
Right. You can see the Executioner's calling bot second here for Finn, recognizing that Gwen often goes for that Rift Maker as her mythic item. Lots of Omnivamp, lots of base healing in the kit anyway. Any sort of extended fight against that champion where she can get some damage down is very difficult if you don't have the Grievous Wounds, so really wants to make sure he's itemizing for that. So that means that we could see some attempts made on her life as we move forward here in the game. Checking everybody else's state of things. You can see your solo laners have all hit that level 6 point over there in the jungle. Still only a level 5 for Jose Deodo, but Broxah, level 6 here on the cart. This means they will have that ulti ready to go, and Broxah looks to solo down the Drake.
Yeah, and I think he's has had a pretty good pathing so far this game. Getting this dragon, his bot lane's going to be getting a base off. He's going to be able to path topside as both his camps in the blue side jungle are up. So it's been a great game here from Broxah. And so FlyQuest do need to be a little bit more confrontational. They've tried through mid lane, and I think CLG has done a great job pushing that back. Need to see a little bit more. Now, it's going to be Rift Herald that probably draws a lot of attention coming up in 5 seconds time.
Well, we're ready to go now. Dreams has made his way into the top lane, and that gets the flash out of Finn.
All right, that's a way to start it up. I think if you're pulling your support this early on, you better just straight up start Rift Herald now. That might be the game plan for FlyQuest.
Well, Jose Deodo with the level 6. That is a critical spell for Viego. Back here in the mid lane, it's Pobelter and Palafox in the 1v1, but Johnson knows it won't be a 1v1 for long. Red buff going to lose most of its patience. Still aggroed right now by the side of CLG. Might just go for a full-on smite fight here, but Broxah doesn't have his, so he decides to back away. Johnson ready to go here. Not Johnson, excuse me, Jose Deodo ready to go with the smite. Johnson making his way back down into the bottom lane instead.
Yeah.
Jose just decides to clear out the red buff here. He activates his challenging smite, gets rid of the knife, and steals the red.
All right, I guess the entire play was for the red buff itself. Johnson had to go back lane, bot lane to deal with the wave stacking up. He's actually just losing the wave here, sitting right by around mid lane.
Oh, nice play coming out here from CLG. They find Dreams as he tries to escape. He pops the haymaker for the big shield, goes back in, but it will not matter. Pobelter's on the board, and so is CLG.
Yeah, CLG is in a much better place. It must have been a concern for Johnson wanting to go back bot lane when they didn't have any vision and no idea where Broxah and the crew were. So sure, you get Rift Herald, you get red buff, but by trying to stack up so many objectives at the same time, it's Wild Turtle that's just getting the whole heaps of rewards here.
Yeah.
While, you know, Johnson doesn't want to idle by around mid lane. He wants to be able to come back bot. Great response from CLG. I think they benefited the most.
And we've got Jose Deodo now grabbing the Rift Herald here for the side of FlyQuest, so that means that they'll have the entire time the turret plates are up to use that one.
True.
Grab at minimum 320 extra gold as long as they don't summon it in the middle of the woods and it dies for no reason. As he goes back, he'll also get the Noon Quiver, so he'll continue towards that Mythic as Licorice has a 20 CS lead over the Gangplank here in topside round.
Getting larger and larger, and now with Jose Deodo having that Rift Herald, you know, I expect him to go topside. Unless if he wants to free up Dreams a little bit more going and trying to kill bot lane turret. You already see him pathing towards the top side of the map. I think CLG is well aware of that. Licorice is an incredible win condition for his team later on in the game.
Yes.
Scaling of Gwen is just insane on side lane, so definitely would be the call. Licorice is being set up to succeed this one.
Licorice, and this is kind of what we heard the desk talking about, right? He came into the LCS. This was a guy who was on the Cloud9 squad that was already incredibly powerful.
Yep.
He showcased mechanical talent, but now he also needs to be the kind of guy that can lead a squad, that can say, all right, I'm going to be here in the side lane. You guys go do this. This is going to work out fine for everybody. So I want to see if he can continue to push that and be that win condition and be the guy that everybody else has the faith to play around.
Yeah, so far so good. A lot of the times it's easy to say that for the first 10 minutes of the game, but they have a very clear identity, and now Jose Diodo is setting up for a dive here. Does he have the help of anyone else?
He's
There's
ready
the
to go.
TP.
They're already using the TP. Finn tries to defend himself here. A lot of damage coming out from Jose, but he has to get away. Karthus ulti's coming in. The kill goes through. Jose Diodo stays alive, and so does Licorice. It was so close, but it was a dub for FlyQuest.
Yeah, really close. The only adjustment you can make is just waiting for the teleport to complete before you look for the dive. But it still pays off. Top lane turrets getting chipped. Huge minion wave getting lost here. Finn's going to have a real rough time, and it's going to be CLG as a whole that needs to decide what they're doing as they lost the gold lead.
And remember, the Karthus ulti and Gangplank ulti at level 1 have incredibly long cooldowns. They are summoner spell level cooldowns almost. And so not getting a kill with those, it's a little tragic here. As you can see, it starts off early ulti from Jose to get away. This was worrying.
Very concerning. Good flash from Jose Diodo. Recognized that if he took a little bit more damage, he's dead there. So even though the mistake happened, they rectified it. Great kill towards the top lane, and now a huge lead for Licorice.
Very, very nice stuff for the side of FlyQuest. The gold remains rather close still. Broxah continuing to farm here on the Karthus, but honestly, Raz, anytime I'm looking at a game and Karthus is the jungler and the enemy jungler has more farm,
True.
I'm saying, hey, that's a great game for the other guy.
Yeah, we take wins on that one. Not only farming out incredibly well, has the 2 kills to his name. It has etched out that advantage for him. So it is always a concerning thing if I look to the CLG side and say if they just have one good fight, then that top fight was almost a good fight for CLG. Then yeah, they can come back with the scaling that they do have. But Rift Trail being placed down, GP has to play so far back to his own second turret now. Great start here.
Very, very good stuff. First turret before 13 minutes into the game. They should be able to push this one up and get the charge onto the tier 2 turret now as well. Licorice will handle the wave while Jose continues to deny every single possible jungle camp that he can from Broxah. Jose Diodo now the man in the jungle that has the level lead over the Karthus. Remember that trying to farm up the objectives like the dragons and the rift trails and stuff, that doesn't give you as much personal gain as it's all about the team. So Broxah making that little bit of a sacrifice here as Pobelter moves forward, kills that last of the baby chickens so that the camp respawns in time. It is a 2 Drake to nothing lead for CLG, so here in the next 5 minutes we should see FlyQuest start to respond to those.
It's a classic philosophical discussion around like what's the best way to play the game. Either getting a gold lead naturally through turret plates on the opposite side of the map, or just trying to get dragon stacking. And in this case, CLG has a clear win condition. Infernal. If they can get one more, get us Infernal point, Soul point, then FlyQuest are now kind of strapped in what they could do, right? But FlyQuest now has a humongous advantage towards the top side of the map and their junglers. So like, they are now dead set fighting for the next few dragons, and they're in a good position to win those team fights.
And bottom lane, almost enough damage to take out that tier 1 turret as the turret plates fall. You can see Wild Turtle just being left to his own devices down here.
Yeah.
Again, this is what is the cost of FlyQuest, rotating people around, having Dreams always try to be making all these plays. It means that Wild Turtle is the one who has priority in the bottom lane. Back up here on the top side, Licorice has the Rift Maker ready, Raz. He's also got his plated steel caps, which are very powerful against anybody on the enemy team not named Broxah. And Finn will continue trying to deal with this, but it's not looking pretty. He just jumps right back in and goes snip, snip.
Yeah, especially if you could just QE towards the target. It's hard to kind of react to that.
Yeah.
Especially if you're just getting your Q stack, or at least your stack for your Q on the minion wave itself. Now, Finn's just holding out this wave, so it's going to be on FlyQuest to either try and break that, or to just try another play on the map, and they are just stationed on the bottom lane.
Oh, yeah. Jose Diodo moves forward. He finds the stun. Turtle wants to get away there with the killer instinct, and because he has his support close by, he will escape. Now they're coming in, looking to make even more happen. Finn summons up the ulti here to keep him in place. Nice turnaround coming out from CLG, who grabbed the kill.
All right, the defensive measure is there, and it has to be FlyQuest that turns tail, as CLG were ready for that dive.
CLG using the power of that ulti, the power of Gangplank to shut down their opponents over aggression. Yes, you saw the stolen Karthus ulti come out to try to get something in return, but it is not enough. And right before that play, I was about to mention, hey, we got both the globals back up. CLG, what can you do with them? And it turns out they got the kill with it.
All right. But now you want to be able to hold a lot of your resources for the next fight. Seems like there's something happening here.
Okay, Smoothie's in the enemy jungle. He's stuck in the red pit. He tries to get over the wall with a Zenith Blade, but it's just money in the pocket of Palafox.
Plan gone horribly wrong. Didn't have the pressure through mid lane. FlyQuest are also just back on the map, so this is a really tough position. We didn't get to see how Smoothie was caught there to begin with. But
yeah,
I mean,
maybe we'll get it in a replay.
I don't even want to see.
Maybe. But down here in the bottom lane, those minions are actually about to just kill the turret.
There we go.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Minions kill the turret. Johnson just lets that one go and then farms up the last little bit of that wave. Divine Sunderer completed on the Ezreal. Tier stacked a little bit over halfway. Over on the other side, you got the Serrated Dirk plus the Kraken Slayer for Kai'Sa, nice and strong there too. Broxa in the jungle, still without a mythic item of his own, did go for the completed Sorcerer's Shoes before getting anything there, and he doesn't quite have the same amount of kills as his opponent to facilitate having that gold threshold just yet.
Yeah, and I wonder if that means that, like, if CLG want to concede the dragon, they can do that if they want to and look for more gold on the top side of the map with the turret still open there. They don't need to go for this dragon, though it would be incredibly helpful. So those are the things that kind of come to my mind if you don't really feel confident as the Karthus in this play. Meanwhile, to the opposing side, FlyQuest, Palafox was able to get his Everfrost, so he's able to get his own mythic. Mythics across the board for FlyQuest, so they feel a lot more comfortable in a teamfight setting.
Okay, FlyQuest with that 1,000 gold lead. Now they've got about 45 seconds, my friend.
Here it
until
is.
It's time to answer the Drake problem. This is where we find out about those philosophical differences you were talking about. Is the lead that FlyQuest has earned for themselves good enough to overcome this 2 Drake lead of CLG and challenge them for the 3rd Drake of the game? Otherwise, you're stuck in that corner, your back's against the wall, where now you got to fight for every Drake for the rest of the game.
Hey, compositionally, a quadruple melee comp that FlyQuest have is going to be difficult versus a GP, even if it's you shed a lot of resources early. So I will always give CLG an angle, especially with just a small deficit in goal. I think their comp is just great. So that's going to be the Abyssal, actually, Leandries picked up there for Broxa just on time for this fight. They will definitely look for this.
Okay, Broxa having that extra power here. Finn having the ulti, Broxa having the ulti. Both huge tools. Summoner spells are also ready across the board for both teams. Dreams not having his real flash. Yes, he still has the Hex flash he can use, but that's a big one that's also not available here. So FlyQuest have moved on to the Drake. Smoothie tries to call down the Solar Flare, but it's not going to do anything. Dragon's picked up, Dragon secured, Wild Turtle's in a bad place. Killer Instinct to get himself away. Palafox won't chase all the way after the kill. Good stuff from the side of FlyQuest.
Yeah, I mean, if you want to contest with that dragon, you have to do it as a team. And so it was Kai'Sa that was trying to push out that mid lane wave, but didn't have control over the line bush or really anywhere in that area of the dragon. So you have, if you want to go back and help your team, you have to take the long way out.
Oh, yeah.
So there was no shot that CLG was going to be able to fight for it, but they tried anyways, and so lost an opportunity getting gold on the opposite side of the map.
Jose Deodo tries to steal away the red buff, but there is way too much help for Broxa. He will not steal that one around this time, so Broxa can pick that up nice and easy. But I do like how even now, level 11, everybody's got mythics online. Jose still knows how easy it is for Viego to just beat the snot out of Karthus, and he continues invading every single time.
Yeah, he's going to take his risk, and especially knowing how safe a Viego can be, right?
Yeah.
Viego definitely could slaughter you, but if you try and send members, Jose Deodo knows he has multiple ways out.
Yeah.
The movement speed of his E, the shroud that it has, the invisibility, it's just difficult for CLG to chase that up. And then, of course, just if worst comes to worst, you have a flash and a defensive ultimate.
Yeah, you can just yeet yourself over the wall with the ulti. It's not really that big of a deal. So Jose Deodo on this pick. Second item, you can see the Phage and the Ruby Crystal there in the inventory, so continuing to build more towards the Bruiser path.
Yeah.
Still, he went for the Kraken Slayer, though. Remember the Viegos that we have seen thus far doing the Immortal Shield Bow, going for that defensive option in the Mythic. He wants to go for that pure damage of the Kraken Slayer. Remember that it is very powerful with Viego because of the nature of the fact that he gets the double attack after every spell, so super easy to rack up a bunch of procs.
Proc it up so quickly, and honestly, if you look on who they're going up against, if you get an assassination on the Kaisa, as they almost did, or the Karthus, as they will continue to try and do, then yeah, like Silas, Viego, they can get that snowball going with how Viego wants to play his game out. So those are the things that CLG has to be concerned about. Dragon coming up in 2 minutes and 30 seconds can really, you know, you have to start to draw that line.
Oh, Smoothie, a little bit far forward here, having a flash away. There is backup nearby in the form of Broxa and Pobelter, but they won't get a real punish here. Wild Turtle grabbing the turret there in the mid lane, but now we got Pobelter going in. POB, what are you doing? But the Haymaker comes out. Jose over the wall, charging up the W for the point-blank punch, and then pick up a kill for Palify.
Found another kill in that red side jungle. CLG keep poking their heads in there. First it was Smoothie, and then it was Pobelter. Wild Turtle dies as well, and this is just multiple members now off the map. FlyQuest TPing here. Are they calling for it?
Looks like they are. We're 21 minutes into the game. The enemy mid laner's dead for 20. The AD carry for 15. FlyQuest sees an opportunity to dare their opponents to stop them. Even if CLG is able to get them off this Baron, it may cost them a body, and that's just another win here for the FlyQuest side.
They just have so much mobility. If CLG move anywhere near that rim, then it's just going to be FlyQuest that hops over the wall.
I don't like how Licorice and Johnson are just standing behind this Baron, taking the extra damage from the back spikes. So they'll be forced off of it. Pobelter tries to jump in there and make a move. He TP'd into the fight, but he just gets back out instead. Baron is stopped.
Could have been done a little bit more easily. I think if you could just commit 4 people onto the objective, because of how mobile they are as a team, that they can take the fight if they want over the pit. They can make that decision, but of course, took that extra bit of damage, less people on the pit, and so it gives CLG an opportunity to come back, clear out the vision. But this is where it all started. We didn't get to see this. This was Wild Turtle getting picked off by Licorice in the mid lane, and so nice to have that added context that started the whole Baron debacle.
Oh yeah, Licorice just goes forward. Turtle tried to flash away, but Licorice just uses the ulti plus the Q and just cuts him to pieces, man. And they tried to even stop it there with a Gangplank ult, but it was not enough. Now you can also see Licorice just completed the purchase of his Zhonya's Hourglass too, so another very powerful team fight tool, and that one's up and running in time for this Drake that'll be spawning in 35 seconds.
So it's going to be hard for the carries of CLG to deal with what is a double Zhonya's in terms of Silas and Gwen. Trying to be the one that dives into the back line. Wild Turtle faced that earlier on. It's going to be worse for him now that he burnt the flash in vain. So if a dragon fight is to happen and it's 15 seconds left, he's not going to have that. He's going to be in a dire position.
Down here bottom lane, Pobelter wants nothing to do with this 1v1 against the Gwen. True Shot Barrage flies through mid, finds a little bit of damage onto Finn, but honestly not a whole lot. Broxy took a bit more of a hard hit from that one. And you can see CLG are going up to the Baron, so they're saying, okay, if you guys want to go after the Drake, you can, but we're taking this.
This is a real threat. Both teams actually burn through Baron very quickly. Karthus on one side, using that ultimate to get vision, as it's FlyQuest that's getting the dragon for free.
FlyQuest using the power of the Gwen to just take down that dragon. They don't need their jungler nearby, and CLG will move over. They'll start up the Baron. They've got a lot of wards around here, but will they be able to make this happen? Smoothie's already lost half his HP to Baron's auto attacks. FlyQuest is coming around. CLG have to back away. This is just a win for FlyQuest.
Yeah, and in fact, that might turn on them. If FlyQuest wants to start this objective to bait in a fight, knowing that Smoothie is going to go back to base, not going to happen here, but it's one of those things. We've seen these play out millions of times, where it's one team that's getting control of mid lane, has one member on Dragon, and wants to slow contest the Baron, and that will win because it's the opposite side that has to take a whole lot of time on Baron, a whole lot of damage as well, and of course, don't really have perfect information on who's on Dragon and who isn't.
Okay, Pobelter in this side lane. The Dragons have been equalized now, and the gold is also almost equalized now.
True.
We have ourselves an incredibly close game state here, Mr. Raz, so I want you to tell me, Where do you see the win condition for CLG specifically because of the fact that they're the ones who feel like they lost their grip on the state of the game that they were looking to control in the Dragons?
Yeah, I think my eyes are going to be on Pobelter.
Okay.
You know, big POB that he's on that Lee Sin. He's going to look for a pick. If it's going to be on Viego or Silas or something, that's going to be a great position to be in as a team because you don't even need GP or Karthus to be there for the fight, but this is an all-in.
Oh, they're going for the dive, and oh my goodness, Finn is just destroyed, man. Cut him to ribbons. Licorice made that look effortless.
That's the thing. You wanted me to look at it from the losing side because it's just so much pressure on the side of FlyQuest with Gwen. There's a reason this champion has been banned out all day long. And CLJ is going to learn the hard way.
And it's only going to get more dire, my friend. You can see the bow in her inventory likely to be turned into that Nashor's tooth that just makes her damage go straight through the roof. And with Pobelter and the rest of CLG currently down a man, they're going to have to do some hefty defending to make sure FlyQuest doesn't get anything else.
So we might see some desperation from the side of CLG because on a split pushing perspective, she just going to keep going.
Yup.
She's on that side lane.
Stopping.
Doesn't matter who she's dealing with. She's going to try and dive you underneath that turret. And she has zonas, as you saw before, to take to lose that turret aggro. So for CLG, I think they need to find a clean gambit on Baron. Or just that one dragon fight that's coming in 2 minutes that they can take, turn into a good fight for Baron. So it can steamroll pretty quickly. But FlyQuest are in a great position.
FlyQuest feeling good about how this game has been going so far. Again, remember that both these teams' records carrying over from Spring.
True.
Neither one of them having the greatest time in that, but the split between Spring and Summer, it's not even. Despite the fact that both Spring and Summer last for 9 weeks, recall that we kicked off with the lock-in tournament back in Spring, meant that we only had a double round robin. Summer has a triple round robin, so that means 60% of your games will be played in Summer. You've got more of that weight here in these upcoming 9 months. No, not 9 months. These upcoming 9
Got food on the mind. Got the Grubhub on the screen as well. I can understand it. But yeah, you have a lot of time.
A lot of time.
A lot of time, a lot of games to go. It's why we're seeing a resurgence from some of these teams. Like IM2 looking good and all that.
Oh,
no.
Nice use of the W there to block the damage as Finn was outside of the range. And he gets the double value out of it too. Both barrels being stopped. The power of Gwen's W, just an incredible defensive tool, especially if you've put in the reps on the champion and you know exactly those ranges that you need to stay at to keep them on the very edge.
Yeah. Oh, wait a second.
Okay, we got ourselves a fight. Smoothie's going in, looking to make it start. Dreams tries to turn it around here with a set ulti. Both sides are bringing in the backup as the cavalry arrives. Pobelter wants to make a play on the side, kicking away Palafox, looking to stay alive. Licorice is in the middle, looking to make a 1v2. Smoothie's going to be taken down. Palafox goes on a killing spree. Broxa is dead, and he's not dead in much of a place to make anything happen. Will this be able to find a kill at all? Licorice with the Zonias to stay alive. Pobelter lands Sonic Wave, but the Resonating Strike will not show up. 2 for nothing, FlyQuest.
The best they could do is dissuade for a Baron, maybe even catch out Jose Diodo on track here mid. But man, what a great team fight there from FlyQuest. Licorice TPing over, and that's a lot of damage going down on the Wild Turtle.
Ooh, yeah, Wild Turtle wanting to back up after that one. FlyQuest happy about how these fights are going. They pick up another win. They build the gold lead up to almost 3K. And Raz, we got 30 seconds, man. And then it's time for another dragon fight. Remember that both of the last 2 have gone the way of FlyQuest.
And Licorice was able to cash in just before this one. Now gets himself the Nashor's Tooth that we were looking for.
Oh, no.
She's ready to fight.
Oh, it's not going to be a fight as much as it is just an execution, man. Those scissors just line up underneath your head and go chop. It's not a good situation for the boys from CLG. FlyQuest have control right. Oh, boy. Okay. Licorice is going in. Gangplank ulti's already been used. Just look at it. He's just snipping him to death.
Get back here.
He dashes right back forward. Licorice
Reduced
still
cooldown
on the
too on
chase.
E with the autos on the minion wave. So just chasing out the Lease in there, but nice stolen ultimate from Palafox used to help out the Gwen there. Oh, are they just going to try for this?
They just might.
Nah, they're just going to clear this.
No, okay. All right. Just clear that out instead. FlyQuest. The Drake is alive. The Baron is alive. They have control over the mid lane, but they still, 29 minutes, almost 30 minutes into this game, they still haven't taken down that tier 1 mid lane turret. So that thing's been a bit of a pain in the butt for them, as now Licorice will mostly solo down this Drake. And it's FlyQuest who are the first team to soul point 3 Mountain Drakes. Means these are some tanky boys. Pobelter trying to push out the bottom side. Now, Pobelter still has his ulti. He got that one back up. The cooldown is rather short. Licorice coming around from the flank here. He's saying, hey, remember me? Let's do it again. As Pobelter dashes away there with a safeguard, Licorice will not be able to close the distance.
Yeah, but it looks like FlyQuest, it's one of those risks that you take. You take the first 2 dragons, the enemy team just gets triple mountain dragon.
It feels bad, man. It feels bad. CLG feeling like they just can't find a chance to make anything happen here in this game. Broxa gets his ulti stolen away. There's so much potential there for Palafox to just delete some people.
And even though it's not going to be super impactful to have those resistances now, as you got a lot of carries on the side of FlyQuest, it's going to get worse. We know how Diego is going to itemize in his 3rd and 4th item, so expect him to go more defensive much more easily. Set's already there, so now he's more incentivized to start fights.
Yeah.
CLG are going to have a bad time. They need some magic penetration, especially on the Karthus, for them to have a chance in this game.
Very, very scary stuff for the side of Counter Logic Gaming, man. It just feels like any sort of opportunity they looked for never really turned into anything. We saw a couple different punishes when they tried to invade the red buff area of FlyQuest.
Yeah.
The first time resulted in Smoothie's death, the second time resulting in Pobelter's death, and also sort of halfway resulting in Turtle's death as well, because since they were occupied down there, they couldn't help him when Licorice made the play mid, so it just hasn't been going so well for him.
It's a mix of not being on the same page, but also just not knowing your timers, because those are 2 instances, like you mentioned. Also the fight that they tried to go for top lane, not recognizing that TP is there. It's available from Licorice. She's just going to, you know, shoot right on top of you. So those are really damaging for CLG, who we've had a lot of faith in coming into this game, but today's been a day of upsets.
Indeed it has.
And mostly a reset of expectations for some of these teams.
I saw a couple different people's predictions on Twitter before
Mine's
this
dead.
game that are currently all 0 for 4.
Yeah, I'm 0 for
and
4.
Those same people had CLG predicted for this game. So a FlyQuest win then creates just an entire breakfast worth of donuts for these predictions that everybody's having on the internet today.
Everyone's taking an L.
Yeah, it is just a day of upsets, and I'm loving it. This has been a lot of fun to see. We have to still play the rest of the game, though. We have to see if FlyQuest can close it out. CLG does have the ability to make some crazy things happen in a team fight if everything lands where it needs to land. The power of the Gangplank ulti, the Karthus ulti. If POB gets a massive kick on an important target, there is that chance there. But FlyQuest have been in control here for the past 15 minutes or so now. As Smoothie will shadow Finn as he pushes out the top side. Licorice has found Pobelter once more. And Pobelter does not want... Holy cow, the damage on the Q! The ultis are coming out, but Pobelter with a disengage stays all right. Licorice jumping right back in, continuing to move forward, continuing to be that point of pressure.
Even if you have good enough disengage to push you back, that's still a turret going down now, but they're looking for a fight.
Okay, they might have just caught Johnson. That was a nice catch from CLG.
Instant. We're able to pick him up right next to Baron, too. With no AD carry, you better believe that CLG is going to take this gambit.
They got to get something, man. They've got to turn this into something more than 300 gold. Let's see what they do. Broxa will lead the way here into the pit. Palafox and Dreams are both nearby. Teleport coming in now from Licorice to be able to join the fight ASAP. Jose Deodo looking for the chance to jump back over the wall. Could he go into the pit and steal this Baron right here, right now? Smoothie's taken very low. Finn having to run back out of the pit. Brox is about to die now as well. Palafox into the stasis, staying alive. Licorice doing all the work he can, but the Karthus ulti's going to be channeled. Baron goes over to the side of FlyQuest. CLG, can they win the fight? It does not appear so. Jose Deodo continues going forward. He's going to reset city. Population FlyQuest. It's a family reunion, and this family loves picking up a team fight. Ace for FlyQuest.
The last name of this family, Broken New Releases.
Holy cow.
Gotta love it. That was a sick fight coming in from FlyQuest. The stolen GP ultimate to just kick them up in the pit. Jose Deodo was ready, picks up that smite fight win over them, and that's a huge win that they end up getting for themselves.
Absolutely awesome stuff for FlyQuest, and that should just be the nail in the coffin here for CLG. They lose out on the Baron, they lose the team fight afterwards, they lose the inhibitor, and it's all fallen to pieces with the Mountain Soul about to spawn.
Yeah, that's the last one that you add as an ingredient to your demise, is that quadruple Mountain Soul.
And Gwyn with the Cosmic Drive now completed as well. So more movement speed, more CDR, more abilities to just guarantee that nobody on CLG can ever fight her in a 1v1 situation. It's all FlyQuest all the time now, Raz. Let's take another look back at the fight.
As we were saying, cooking him out in the pit for that GP ultimate there. Smoothie was incredibly low off this one. Same goes with Finn and Broxa. At this stage in the fight, they know they're gone. They just don't want to give what is a pretty juicy reset there for Viego. They try to at least combo off of the Karthus ultimate, try and get the Baron, and then maybe just ditch out. Not happening. And just take a look at Viego fly.
Oh my goodness, he's jumping all over the place with the resets, and then Licorice just jumps in there. He's not gonna let Viego have all the fun. Triple kill for the Gwen. There's, to everybody out there who's enjoying watching this champion,
Yep, 0 damage, by the way. Didn't need your AD carry.
Because he was dead.
Yep,
he was
exactly.
He was never there.
Exactly.
But that 6,850 for Gwen, if you really enjoy watching this champion, I'm so sorry, because you're never going to see it make it past bans again. This is just an incredible destruction of CLG as FlyQuest move into the base. They're looking to make this final fight very quick, just put them out of their misery. Double kill for Palafox, and it's Finn against the world. The world is a big old place, Mr. Razzleplasm, and it will crush CLG. FlyQuest will earn their first win of summer.
There it is. They talk about showcasing greatness, and that's the first taste test here. FlyQuest in the summer split coming in hot.
Holy moly, man. The Gwen and Viego. How...
It's a dynamic duo.
This is a public service announcement brought to you by Captain Flowers and Raz. Y'all should not be letting the enemy team get both of these champions. They might be a little bit busted.
Yep.
Woo! Awesome stuff there from FlyQuest. They were able to stop CLG from making anything happen off of their early Drake control. They ended up investing more in getting those turret plates and making the gold plays early on. That set Licorice ahead when he was already winning the lane by having the lead over the gangplank. And it was just what you were talking about. He was the win condition in the side lane.
Yeah.
Povelter couldn't go near him. Finn couldn't go near him. Broxa couldn't even be on the same screen as him. There was no answer.
This was the risk that CLG was willing to take. The draft had an idea. They were stacking up dragons. The idea was pretty clear in what, being able to fight for it at some stage. Around, the Karthus ultimate, Lee Sin, try finding a kick engage. To me, the problem, you're right, the first thing is the draft that they can look towards, but they took a gambit for a reason, and a lot of it will come down to when they were trying to get vision. Because about 3 or 4 of those deaths are incredibly preventable from the side of CLG.
All the red buff deaths.
Exactly. Right? A lot of those are preventable, and they'll look at this game and say that they could have won if they were a lot more clear in how they wanted to play that out. That being said, you're still going up against Mount Everest.
Yeah.
With scissors.
Yeah, okay. That's my new nickname for Gwen, Mount Everest with scissors.
Trying to climb up, and you just get snipped.
Anyway, it was all FlyQuest needed to get the win there. We're tossing to a break here one more time now, but after that, we got pastry time and Licorice in the Verizon post-game interview. Don't y'all go anywhere.
Hello and welcome back. Thank you so much for joining me here, Licorice. It's been quite a long day here at the LCS, but you said it before we came on camera. You're much happy to be here with some delays and play on the stage again. How's that feeling?
Yeah, I mean, it's just really nice to be back. I mean, there's no crowd, so it was a little disorienting when I took my headset off at the end, and there's just like no noise whatsoever, but happy to be back. I always enjoy playing on stage, and I'm looking forward to playing more here.
Is there anything specifically about playing on stage that just feels so different for you?
I think just being able to like go somewhere to play like in a stadium and I'm not just like playing solo queue in my house, like it just like feels so different because that was what I looked forward to when I was like a solo queue player before I went pro, and to like be back in the studio, it's like, yeah, this is the LCS, you know?
Makes sense. And you've been welcomed back to your time on stage in the LCS Summer by getting Gwen.
Yeah.
I don't think anyone thought would happen. How on earth did you get this champion? What happened?
Well, I think something must have gone wrong with their comms over on their side of the pick ban because Gwen is quite OP. But I think we just like played the game. I was playing Gwen. I was like, hey guys, we can just take it nice and easy. Once I get some items, it'll be a quick win for us. And I think that's kind of what happened.
I'm curious, did you always plan to play Viego jungle as well, or was that something you can maybe flex between the team? Because getting ones already feels like pretty wild, but getting both seems kind of even more out of control.
I mean, I don't want to reveal all our
Okay,
secrets.
that's fair.
But we all play Viego and solo queue. I'll tell you that much.
All right.
So, you know.
Right. So check the solo queue if you're at home and trying to scout FlyQuest. What did you think of the matchup, actually? Because obviously Gwen not a champion we get to see all that often. It felt like that 1v1 could maybe be a bit tricky early on, but it feels like you handled it in the later levels quite effortlessly.
Yeah, I'm not quite sure what the idea with the GP pick is. It's not something that I've seen before into Gwen. It just doesn't feel like GP has enough damage to really threaten Gwen with like an all-in or kill pressure at any point. So I was just kind of felt pretty safe farming up, pushing waves in, and then eventually getting some items. So.
And this is something we see a lot, especially when things change and we're coming back. It does feel like the meta's in a spot where there's lots of different options and teams are definitely still figuring it out. Do you feel like that's true on the FlyQuest side, or do you feel like maybe the team has actually gotten a leg up in what's good right now?
Oh, totally. I think like everything is up in the air. Our prios have changed completely in like the last week of our scrims. And I think it's just been really hard because everyone, like every pro player was watching all the MSI games, and then all of a sudden there's like Gwen and Viego that are now in the game, and it kind of like flips everything on its head. So I think you're going to see a lot of like different ideas of how to draft right now, but I'm pretty confident that we've got a really good read on the meta.
Right, and the last one, how are you feeling just in general? After the playoffs are finished and you've got a bit of a break in the offseason, how are you and the rest of FlyQuest feeling, kind of moving forward through what will be quite a long summer?
I mean, obviously, it's a bit of a bummer that this is the first split that the record carries through, but,
Unlucky.
Unlucky. You take it as you get it. But I think, like, everyone had a good off break, and it's been feeling... I mean, it's, like, hard to say at this point, like, oh, yeah, we're going to be, like, really good this time, but there's the potential. We got the potential there, you know? Like, we're beating some top teams, we're losing to some bottom teams. It's a little all over the place right now, so maybe talk to me again in a couple weeks and I'll have a better read for you.
All right, well, I'll simplify it for you a little bit. How do you feel like you're playing right now?
I think I'm playing really well right now. I'm really happy with... Like, I think so much of top lane is knowing the matchups and, like, picking the correct champion. And I think I've got a really good read on the meta. I think I'm really confident on everything that is meta, so I'm really happy to play more games on stage.
Yeah, so it looks that way today. Licorice, thank you so much for joining me, and congrats on the win today. With that, we're going to wrap things up, but before we do, we are going to throw over to the State Farm Analyst Desk.
Thank you, Pace. Your time. We are back on the desk, though I lost Mark. Oh, hey.
0-5 on predictions on the first day back after a year and a half at home. Doesn't feel great.
So you put yourself in timeout?
It doesn't happen to the best of us, Mark.
Oh, yeah.
Damn.
Mr. 2-5 feeling great
Hey,
over
it's
there.
not 0-5. It's not
Do you
0-5.
realize you have the best prediction record at 2-5 for the day?
Wait, we should carry them over from spring like we did with the records. I think I'm still ahead of you then, if we do that.
You are.
I hope so.
Yeah, but one thing that we gotta do though, let's talk about this game a bit. Nice to hear some reserved confidence coming from Licorice after that performance. A lot of it at the hand of a very interesting draft where we got to see some powerful picks blasting on through.
Yeah, I think Licorice summed it up. Something must have gone wrong on the CLG camp. You just don't let Gwen and Viego go through. The fact that they didn't take it themselves, and I know we've seen it earlier today as a priority later into the game, like last pick on red side for the Viego, but the presence for these two 2v2 champions has been so high today. Gwen permaban Viego in almost every single game. No one has been prepared for this, and CLG clearly was not, because it didn't look like they had an answer for it at all. They just thought it wasn't that good.
Yeah, and as Licorice noted himself, if you're gonna give them Gwen, you're not gonna pick GP into it, right? Like, you don't have an answer in the side lane. And this is kind of a disappointing draft from CLG where I feel like they just kind of made things much more difficult for themselves than they had to.
It kind of felt like they had a general idea of like, okay, they have a bunch of melee assassins. We pick GP Karthus, they have to jump into us. But when you look at how they actually play, like there's a lot of counterplay with the Gwen mist, nullifying a lot of that global damage if you try and, use that against her. The Viego getting the resets after they kill one person, like you can grab the Karthus thing while Karthus is still as a soul, there's a lot of those little interactions. I think all day you saw why Viego is super powerful right now. Gwen, we got the one showing and it looked pretty dominant. So we'll see how people react. Licorice was saying their priorities were changing around the last week. I'm sure CLG is going to look at this game and go, okay, not doing that again.
Well, I'm thinking about how important flex picks have been for teams even prior to Viego coming into professional play. And just today, we got to see him both in the solo lane as well as the jungle position.
That's exactly why they're so powerful. You can three-way flex these two new champions, so it's even more difficult to draft against them than the usual picks. And they're very strong in all three and synergize really well with what you want to do in the current meta. Heavy skirmishes early on, good side lane pressure after. So CLG, I think they can take this lesson and quickly apply it. It shouldn't be too hard to just drop a ban on these picks when you're on red side.
Yeah, running the VOD in their head a bit, thinking about those Gwen moments. And, oh, she is a pretty powerful pick right now. Maybe something that people will be favoring continually from here on out.
Yeah, I think there's one clip in particular I'd want to show for, this is an example of how strong Gwen is. Licorice here, gets the initial Q trade, and he has Ignite, which is not necessarily exactly standard, but with just that chunk, misses the first ult, but he's got the Ignite on him, gets the auto in to get the next ult. Nice flash out there to dodge it on Finn's side. Misses the third ult, doesn't need it, still kills Finn. It looks pretty free. Maybe, a champion can do that without hitting any of its ultimate and not being particularly fed at that point in the game. You might want to ban it. And credit to Licorice, I will say the Ignite was really smart, TP Ignite, because there's no gank threat with Karthus, GP, there's no setup, there's no, they don't really have any way to kill you. So it was smart. I don't want to look at that clip and be like, Licorice sucks. It's more like, look at how good this champ is.
All I'm saying is if you've been watching Academy, it's been played in Academy before. The Academy teleport Ignite Gwen has been making the rounds and has been dominating there as well.
Both in the College League of Legends Championship we had recently, Gwen was a huge pick in that regard, and I'm sure we'll be lucky enough to continue seeing her on the Rift here in the LCS. As we take a look at our standings, a quick reminder that spring records are carrying over into summer. Licorice calling that out as a little unlucky in the moment during his interview.
Yes.
So although this is the first day of action this summer, Cloud9 are still up at the top tied with TSM, and they are followed by a tie for third between Dignitas, Quantum Pay, and Team Liquid.
Yeah, and the highlight for me for today can be summed up not by my own words, but by Golden Guardian's new top laner, Solo. The man tweets out, I leave for one split and y'all let these dudes win? Big burn on Cloud9. I love it. I love the fact that we're getting some trash talk in the LCS on the first day.
I missed it from Solo. Last time he was here on FlyQuest, he was making sure to bring that heat to Twitter too, and we got a little bit of a taste of that today. I'm sure more to come. And we do continue to have action going throughout the entirety of this weekend. Tomorrow, we're kicking off our day with TSM battling against Evil Geniuses, Cloud9 taking on 100 Thieves. Both of those teams looking to find their first win. And we're rounding it out with Immortals versus Golden Guardians. Both of those teams looking to rack up the wins and build that early momentum here in summer. I do want to make sure I hear from y'all here on the desk, though. What matchups are you looking forward to in tomorrow's games?
I think it's Cloud9 100 Thieves. Even though Cloud9 lost, I felt like, they at least played a decent game, and I thought Golden Guardians actually stepped up hugely today. Whereas 100 Thieves, I think we're all disappointed to see Abadage make his debut on Karma. And I think getting to see a different look from Abadage and get to see him play a control mage that he's comfortable on, or even play like a TF or something that can go to side lanes, just something that doesn't just support, would be nice from Abadage.
Yeah, I was gonna say it looks like an interesting day because it's a lot of the people who lost today playing up against each other, and some of the people who won having a chance to go 2-0. So I'm excited to see who is actually gonna start putting some consistency in the summer split, because this day felt like the day of upsets, but because it's been so long since all these teams actually play, it's like, wait, maybe they're just actually the good teams now.
Consistency is a myth in the LCS. I'm not going to buy into it at any point. I'm just not going to believe it. I'm not going to believe it till we get to the end of the split. And even then, you know, the coin flip will still have a greater prediction rate than we did today.
Yeah, I'm feeling like I should just make my predictions tomorrow and then just flip them all.
That's what I'm doing.
Yeah? All right, you do that then. I'll keep my normal.
Wait, what?
Yeah, I'll leave you on that island alone.
we're in
I'm
on
gonna
this,
go
man.
over here.
We were both on 5.
No.
No one go with their gut reaction. That is what we heard. And I mean, nothing like summer, right? For us to continue off of that momentum from spring. How wonderful it feels to have our first day of summer in the books. But that is going to do it for us here. On behalf of myself, the casters, and the entire remote and live broadcast crew, thank you so much for watching. We'll see you tomorrow for more LCS. Until then, good morning, afternoon, evening, and good night.
Especially good night.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No more predictions.
Yeah.
I'm just not doing them.
Get one over here.